We will soon see Vice President J.D. Vance holding the White House press briefing. It comes hours after the United States and Iran agreed to a memorandum of understanding aimed at ending the fighting and reopening the Strait of Hormuz permanently. Important questions remain over how the deal will be enforced, in fact, especially when it comes to nuclear weapons, and how exactly Iran's nuclear material will be handled. 60 days of negotiation now are the first step in all of this. And beyond that, I would imagine there will be a lot of questions about what's coming up in all of this. Remember, the vice president was there for the very first round of talks that kicked off the road that we're on right now into the ceasefire then and now this signed memorandum of understanding. So an important time at the White House, an important time to hear from him. We will take you there live when the vice president begins. Socialism is surging from coast to coast. With an eye on New York City today, it's the site of a fierce battle in the Democrat Party's ideological war. Yes, they're fighting each other in politics. NYC Mayor Zohran Mamdani, along with Vermont Senator Bernie Sanders, are both Democratic Socialists, so they call themselves. And they are set to hold a Get Out the Vote rally this afternoon. It's in support of 3 Democrat Socialist candidates running for House seats and looking to change the face of the Democrat Party. Well, they're doing that because they're picking up in numbers on the far left. I'm Harris Faulkner. You are in the Faulkner Focus. Let's take a look at those candidates now. They are among dozens Senator Sanders is backing nationwide. They all support radical left policies such as ending military aid to Israel, abolishing immigration customs enforcement, free or low-cost housing for all government-funded health care for all. Lots of free stuff. We know. We've been down this road with these candidates before. And massive tax hikes on wealthier Americans. And the line of wealth gets lower and lower and lower, approaching, well, when will it stop? Are they just going to overtax everybody? Republican strategist Luke Ball with me in Focus yesterday.
It seems like the Democrat Party is sliding to socialism. 74% of the Democrats say they like Democrat socialism. 66% said they're totally fine with socialism. And that ideology is just the junk food of modern American politics. It might feel good at the beginning, it might fill you up for a moment, but the reality is the crash is coming later.
A new headline reads, Mamdani tests his political clout in New York's primary as he looks to reshape the Democrat Party. And here's part of that. Quote, days before New York's primary elections, Mamdani is testing the limits of his newfound political muscle in a bid to reshape the Democratic Party in his state capital and in Washington, D.C., even if it means challenging his own party's leadership. Well, who does lead the Democrats anyway? We couldn't even tell you that. I mean, you ask Democrats and they can't tell you. National correspondent Brian Yennis is at the site of tonight's rally. Brian.
And Harris, a Bernie Sanders senior advisor, says the senator and New York City Mayor Zohran Mamdani view the upcoming New York primary on Tuesday as, quote, an opportunity to radically change the Democratic Party. Today at 5 p.m. here in Brooklyn at the King's Theater, Mamdani and Sanders will take the stage in what is Sanders' latest effort to back far-left candidates in primaries nationwide and remake the party in his own Democratic Socialist image. For Mamdani, it's war. He's campaigning against Democratic Party leaders who even endorsed him for mayor, like 5-term Congressman Adriano Espaillat. Mamdani's instead backing Democratic Socialists Daria-Lisa Chevalier, Claire Valdez, and Brad Lander in 3 House races. The most controversial Chevalier says she now deeply regrets deleted tweets that said she wipes her hands with the American flag, said former VP Kamala Harris, and called former President Biden a rapist. She's now campaigning on abolishing ICE and says all deportations are wrong, even for convicted criminals.
Is that something you still believe?
That phrase, yes. I still believe that all deportations are wrong.
That would seem to also include people who were convicted of breaking U.S. criminal law. Is the deportation of those people wrong?
Yes.
All three Sanders and Mamdani-endorsed candidates are anti-Israel. Valdez and Chevalier are campaigning alongside far-left streamer Hassan Piker, who said, quote, Israel doesn't have a right to exist in its current formation and that America deserved 9/11. Here's Lander campaigning with Mamdani.
As a proud Jewish New Yorker, I will join you in that fight to end occupation and apartheid and genocide.
Establishment Democrats are fighting back against Mamdani and Sanders. Nancy Pelosi campaigning in the streets of Manhattan alongside Congressman Goldman. Harris, it is a political civil war within the Democratic Party, a fight for the soul of that party, with the latest battle lines being drawn right here in Brooklyn, New York. Harris?
Brian, thank you very much for getting us started on this. Far-left groups with very deep pockets are pushing hard to get a slew of candidates elected in November. Those groups are Democrat Socialists of America, the Working Family Party, and Justice Democrats. And they are willing to take out members of their own political party to put socialists in office. The asterisks indicate candidates challenging incumbents who are more moderate Democrats. Wow. Two opinion headlines now. Democrats are the party of socialism now. Far-left Democrats keep saving Americans from themselves. And in the latter op-ed, veteran Democrat strategist Doug Schoen writes this: Democrats are set to enter the midterm election cycle potentially with a slate of nominees whose positions and backgrounds may do more to help rescue the GOP than anything Republicans have done or will be able to do for themselves. There is still time for Democrats to get out of their own way. But whether they will do so remains an open question. In focus with me now, Ben Domenech, host of the Big Ben podcast, and also a Fox News contributor. Great to see you today. Look, this is not just a fluke now. There are so many of these socialists, and they are winning in many places.
Yes, Harris, and it's great to be with you as always. The truth is that what you see looking backward kind of illustrates why we got to this point. If you look at the Iowa caucuses, for instance, back in 2020, you saw the level of dominance that Bernie Sanders had among younger voters, dominance that goes back throughout his career for those voters who are under 30. Those voters are older now. They're going to be 37, 38 in the coming elections, and those voters are increasingly a significant portion of the Democratic coalition. So when you look at these blue cities, you're going to see the takeovers by these DSA candidates, just like we've seen in New York and that we've seen, play out in terms of Nithya Raman making the runoff in Los Angeles. We've seen it in Seattle. We see it in Chicago. And I think that what you're going to have there is very powerful mayors who are going to control the politics of the Democratic Party going forward and essentially add to the increased leftism of this coalition because of that power.
You know what I'm watching for these far-left group endorsements? I mean, you just saw, we scrolled almost the entire time you were talking, so there are many of them. It's not just the large states on the coast anymore. I'm seeing Colorado. Yes. I saw a lot of states in the middle of the country. So what's happening there? Is it different or something similar?
It's something similar, Harris, but it's also something that is driven by a lot of national groups that took lessons from the past experiences. I mean, the whole reason that Mamdani was able to win was because of the work that the DSA had done there, learning from the success of AOC, learning from running races against Democratic, more centrist candidates. To be quite honest, they're not that centrist anymore anyway, because they've been pulled left by all these socialists who are dominating the conversation within their party. So from my perspective, the real problem that we're going to end up with here is we're going to have capitalism become a monopartisan affair. There was always this belief that you could be a pro-business Democrat on some level, but these are mayors and these are candidates who are promising taxing the heck out of every kind of aspect of capitalism that they can in order to fund their far-left projects and their vision of a remade American economy.
Well, it seems fatalistic because you are going to need the people who create the jobs, and especially in this day of AI and all the rest, and you're going to need people who can take on China economically. Look, what's the difference in your eyes between what they call themselves, a democratic socialist, and a socialist/communist, which is what they kind of tend to be?
Increasingly less, Harris, and I think that you see that in the types of people who are endorsing, backing, and campaigning with them now. Hassan Piker is just probably the most prominent of these folks, but they engage in really extreme rhetoric, and they encourage the targeting of capitalist leaders across the country. Look, the billionaire tax that we're going to see likely end up on the ballot in California is the most wrong-headed, idiotic approach to the way to increase business, the way to increase success, the way to increase jobs. But they don't care about any of that. And quite frankly, I think they're only going to increasingly target the people who are, frankly, at the apex of America's capitalist leadership right now, because they view it as something that their fan base, their radical fan base, is only supportive of.
Ben Domenech, always great to have you in focus. Thank you.
Good to be with you.
Be sure to like and subscribe for all the Fox News latest on YouTube, and catch full shows streaming now on Fox One.